Hello guys, Crispy here, welcome back to another video. In this one, my friends, I'm gonna be testing a GeForce GTX 1050 Ti in Cyberpunk 2077 version 2.0. This one is the Asus ROG Strix version of the card. We are running it with the latest Nvidia drivers as usual, and I am overclocking it a little bit, as you can see right here. You can also see all of its specs right here in Tech Power-Ups GPU-Z, and over on the left, we're pairing it with a Ryzen 7 5700G and 16GB of RAM, and this is 3200 MHz SODIMM because I'm using a mini PC here. It's the Minisforum B550. Let's get into it, shall we? Okay, first up, let's go over the settings. I'm starting at 1080p resolution using the low settings preset, which enables FSR by default. I'm just gonna disable it so it's native resolution first, and then we're gonna enable it and play around with XeSS as well. Also, this is the preset, so that means that some things are actually set to medium here. It's not the absolute lowest settings yet, but we're gonna test a ton of settings and resolutions in this video. Alright guys, here we have it looking great in terms of graphics, even on low settings, but look at the FPS. Yeah, that is not great. The GTX 1050 Ti just doesn't have what it takes anymore to run this game at the low settings preset. Again, because they adjusted the preset a little bit and set a lot of things to medium this time around, and when the game came out, 1050 Ti was already struggling quite a bit, even on low settings. Oh! Come on! Oh, I almost hit Bob with the other car. Actually, it kind of worked. It just didn't die. Wait a second. Let me just get out of it. Oh my god, dropping into the mid-20s here. That is not good, 1050 Ti. I mean, the Radeon 780M that I tested in the last video performed way better than this. It's kind of impressive to see integrated graphics being so much better than a popular GPU like the GTX 1050 Ti, which is still in the top 5 most used GPUs on the Steam survey, I believe. Yeah, this is not good. I'm just gonna stop it right there, alright? 28 FPS average with the cinematic 1% lows at 24 is just not really that playable. Thankfully, the VRAM is completely enough here with low textures, so that's great. Good thing is we got that FSR Super Resolution 2.1, and when you set that to quality, it looks very similar to native resolution, a little bit more shimmery and noisy, you know, but I mean, it's very passable in my opinion, and it gets us 30 plus frames per second, where we were seeing like mid-20s. This is a way better experience, my friends. Look at that. Oh yes, 36, 31% lows. I'm just gonna get out of here if I can. God damn it. Maybe I'm just gonna wreck my car and probably make it explode in just a little bit. But it's fine. Bobby's dead, so that's all that matters. That's what I have come here to do anyways. Over here, it usually drops as well, but it's not really dropping much anymore, guys. Look at that! We got 36 FPS average and 31% lows with very good graphics still. So this is clearly the way to play this game with GTX 1050 Ti. I'm gonna use XeSS next on Ultra Quality first, and this is a higher internal resolution than Quality FSR provides. So yeah, we're still seeing it drop into the 20s, I guess, although it's very, very close to 30. But yeah, it does dip here and there. It feels noticeably less smooth and stuttery. Oh my god! Oh my god! Yeah, it's a little bit better than it was at native resolution, that's for sure, in terms of FPS, but it dips into the 20s, so no, that's not a good experience. Not a good experience whatsoever. You need, like, quality XeSS. Oh my god! Hey, come on, come on, come on. I need your car. I need your car, guys. Come on, give it to me. Give it to me. Let's go. There we go. Big explosion as well. That's what I like to see. We also didn't kill Bob this time around, by the way. He ran away before we got to his little stand here. Are you serious? This is also on fire. God damn it. Come on. What the hell? You get the idea. It's not really that playable with XeSS Ultra Quality. Now, what about quality XeSS? Like, XeSS looks a little bit sharper than FSR in this game, and maybe a little bit less shimmery as well on Ultra Quality, probably because it's running a higher resolution than FSR in the first place. Yeah, this looks more shimmery now, I think, than Quality FSR did, but at least you don't have the ghosting that FSR introduces in this game, and they never fixed. Actually, I didn't notice it previously, so I gotta take a better look at that. Maybe they have fixed it, and I'm just talking gibberish here. But yeah, as you can see, XeSS doesn't really give you that much of a performance boost compared to FSR, I think. And it will probably make things drop from 30 frames per second still over here in Bob's roundabout. Come on, there we go, 30 flat. Yeah, I missed Bob. The input lag is also great. Oh, come on. Come on, mate. Seriously, this is inside of the car now and I can't move it. Are you floating a little bit? Yes, he is. I mean, what are you doing, Bob? What are you doing? Can I shoot your foot? Yeah, thank you. All right. What are you gonna do, Bob? Just stand there? You're trying to be a good person, aren't you? Oh, there we go. I killed him. Nice. And it kind of looks like he's sleeping, right? Nobody will know that Bob is dead. All right, they know. Let's get out of here now. See if the FPS dropped from 30, because they still haven't. Okay, but again, I think I like the look of FSR a little bit better than XeSS Quality here, okay? Anyway, yeah, 29 right there. You're gonna feel some major slowdowns, and with FSR it was always above 30 FPS. The 1% lows were also above 30. I think I would just play with FSR here. So I'm gonna stop it right there. I'm gonna disable XeSS because FSR is a little bit better again, I think, and set this to quality just to see if I can spot some ghosting now. It's still very shimmery, actually. You know what? Maybe quality XeSS, now that I'm doing this thing back to back, looks very similar to FSR Quality as well. Just slightly weirder, I guess. Hello, guys. I really need your car because I need to see the ghosting if it still happened. Come on, come on, come on. I really hope that CDPR actually fixed the ghosting issues with FSR, because that would change the game a little bit, you know? I really like the look of FSR, it's just the ghosting that bothers me a bit too much. Maybe it's this car, but I think they did fix the ghosting issues. Or maybe it's the 30 FPS, I don't know. Just one second, this car had a lot of ghosting previously. Okay, yeah, you can still see it slightly with this one, okay? Just a little trail behind the lights right there. Okay, yeah, you can clearly see that, but it's way minimized compared to the last version of the game, for sure. Alright, should we try the medium settings preset, guys? It sets FSR to auto. I'm just gonna disable it. This is probably not a great idea. I'm gonna disable motion blur as well, because it sets pretty much everything to medium and some things to high, so this is probably gonna be way more intensive than 1080p low settings. And yeah, the looks, I mean, you can tell a little bit of a difference. Like the road, for example, looks a little bit cleaner, and the reflections on it, and light reflections as well, look great, a little bit better here. Yeah, medium settings is really good looking in Cyberpunk 2077, but with these FPS, I think it just went down too much, okay? 24 right here, it means that it would drop from 20 in more intensive scenarios. So, of course, FSR is mandatory right here. Can it fix our FPS? Wow, it actually gave us 10 FPS or so. Like 8 to 10 frames per second over in this area at least. But it's still very, very close to 30 FPS, so I think it will still drop, guys, unfortunately. And remember, this is with an overclocked GTX 1050 Ti, not hugely overclocked, you know, it's not a big OC by any means. You should be capable of achieving this same overclock on your 1050 Ti. It should be achievable on pretty much every single 1050 Ti out there, unless it's in its last legs. But yeah, if you don't OC and run with like 150 megahertz less, it's gonna perform slightly slower at the same time, like get you 1 or 2 less frames per second, which can make a huge difference when we're talking about 31 or 33 or 36 frames per second on average, right? It can be the difference between dipping into the 20s and not. Anyway, it still dipped into the 20s right here, so not a great experience. Time to check out Balanced FSR. And Balanced FSR at 1080p starts looking a little bit too bad, you know, a little bit too pixelated, too noisy. The motion blur, or the ghosting actually, not motion blur, behind the car is way worse. Goodbye, Bob. There we go. That was a good Bob kill, right? I like that one. But now we're getting 30 plus FPS. I don't know if it slowed down when we hit Bob right there, because the 1% lows are below 30, but I don't think it did, because I haven't really felt any major slowdown here. So I think if you lock the FPS to 30 and you really, really want to play at medium settings, I still think you shouldn't. But if you really want to, it's still possible with balanced FSR. Hello, Jack. How's it going, buddy? It's Jack's memorial right there, underground. What a shame, right? They should make a huge statue outside. When you look up, you see Jack. Imagine that. That would be beautiful. Also, it goes without saying that the reflections on top of the car and stuff aren't really that accurate because of no ray tracing, obviously. But they're still looking pretty good, even with balanced FSR, honestly, because they're rasterized reflections. So I don't really have a problem with that. Now, we should try it at 900p, which is somewhat popular resolution within 1050 Ti users, I would say. It's a decent compromise on like a 21-inch 1080p monitor, or even on a 900p monitor, of course. That's no compromise whatsoever, because it's going to be native resolution and it's going to look pretty good. So this is it, guys. Native 900p is giving us quite the FPS compared to 1080p, right? Like 30 plus right here is pretty good, in my opinion. Goodbye, Bob. There we go. I don't think he's dead, but we need to get out of here. Otherwise, my car is going to explode, because these guys are the worst. All right, here we go. Got the motorcycle now. Let's reload. There it is. I still wonder how people can just reload with one hand. It looks very weird to me. On a motorcycle at the same time, right? That's insane. Anyway, you know what's also insane and kind of unexpected, I guess? 30 plus FPS all of the time. 28 1% lows, because the frame time is not completely flat, you know? But I guess if you locked it to 30, it wouldn't really drop from 30 FPS very often. And you know what? Native 900p monitors actually look pretty good. I had one at 18 inches, I believe, or 19 inches, I think. And it looks pretty alright. Quality FSR on top of 900p though puts us in the 40s, which is quite nice, as you can see. Also, I totally forgot. Wait a second. Bob, I shot Bob and he's still standing there. Like, what the hell is wrong with that bastard? Come on, where's my sight? Why can't I see my sight, my crosshair? Come on. All right, we got the bastard. Oh, no, they got me now. No, this is terrible. Goodbye. Get your car. No. It's all good. It dropped into the 30s slightly there when they bumped into me, by the way. But it feels way smoother than before, that's for sure. I would say that if you have a native 1080p, it's not worth lowering the resolution here. Just use FSR for it. It already lowers the resolution internally, then upscales it to make it look a little bit better, of course. But yeah, this is not worth doing, I think. And even native 900p resolution would look rough on a native 1080p monitor, rougher than FSR 2 quality for sure, even though FSR 2 quality actually runs the game at 720p internally. Now, medium settings preset at 900p without motion blur and without FSR first. This is looking all right, but of course those FPS are extremely low, already below 30 frames per second, so nah. Definitely not a good idea yet to play at medium settings, but with quality FSR, of course, that changes the game a little bit. It gives us like 10 more frames per second, and now it should be above 30 FPS all of the time. But again, most of you probably have 1080p monitors with this GPU. Whoa! We got one of those dolls, you know. It looks like those wind dolls, whatever. Oh, that's so weird. Oh, she isn't dead. Okay. All right, let's keep on going. Still hasn't dropped from 30 FPS, so those of you with 900p monitors can experience this game on medium settings on a 1050 Ti, which is nice to see. But we've been always aiming for those 30 frames per second. That's because it's very hard for you to get 60 FPS. If you want 60 FPS and you just don't want to play this game with 30, then it might be unplayable for you with a GTX 1050 Ti. It probably need what, like performance FSR at 900p to achieve 60s. Not even that, okay? And performance FSR at these low resolutions starts looking pretty rough. All right, it's very pixelated indeed. I don't like that, especially at the distance. Super noisy and blurry. Ultra performance is what you need for 60. Yep. No, not even all of the time. See? This is why I'm not aiming for 60 FPS, because you gotta make the game look like crap, basically. If you're watching on a phone, it might not look that bad, honestly. But yeah, on an actual monitor, it doesn't look good on ultra performance whatsoever. All right, let's get it back to low settings. Disable FSR now and go ahead and play at 720p resolution. All right, getting 40-ish frames per second right here at native 720p. Obviously, it looks much worse than 1080p with quality FSR. It gets more FPS at the same time, but I would not do this unless you hate upscaling technologies and you cannot use them for some reason, even though they look better than this, right? Maybe you have a 720p monitor, I don't know. If that's the case, well, yeah, sure, go play at your native resolution. It's gonna run okay, and we can possibly achieve 60 FPS with quality FSR or balanced, maybe. Going in this street right here, what happened there? I think he crashed against something. What the hell? Okay, 40s, 43 on average. That's pretty all right. You know, especially considering that this is not the lowest settings possible. It still has a ton of things on medium, as I told you. It's just a low preset here. Now, let's see with quality FSR2. There we go. Actually, at 720p, it might make things slightly sharper, ever so slightly sharper, but more pixelated at the same time, especially at the distance, yeah. At the distance, it's rough. It looks a little bit worse than 720p native for sure. That's the thing, like DLSS. I wish DLSS would come to these cheaper Nvidia GPUs. I guess it can't because they need the tensor cores to run DLSS, and that's maybe why it looks better than FSR usually. But yeah, I just wish we could have it. Also, at these lower resolutions, of course, VRAM usage is even lower than what it was at 1080p. And if you want to increase textures to medium or even high, it is possible to do so without losing performance. As long as you don't max out that VRAM, you won't really lose any FPS by setting the textures to medium or high. All right, let's try medium settings. Can we play with medium settings without any FSR and get 30 plus FPS all of the time finally? I think yes, we can. Look at that, guys. Finally. And considering that it looked kind of rough in the edges and at the distance with FSR2 on quality at 720p, I think this is probably the way to go. Let's kill Bob right now. Let's kill Bob. Yeah. Okay, there we go. There we go. It's good. Everything is fine. Jesus, that was almost not a Bob kill there. Somebody sabotaged our operation right here. Is he dead? Is that Bob over there? I'm not sure which one of you is Bob, so I'm gonna have to kill you all. It's always above 30 FPS here at medium settings. Finally, we can play at native resolution. You just need to turn it down 720p. And it looks a little bit rough at the same time because of the TAA. But again, on a smaller monitor, I'm looking to my capture card, and it's probably like an 8 or 9 inch window there in Windows, and yeah, it looks pretty good right there actually. Right, but if you want a little bit more FPS here with the medium settings, set this to quality. Over on the left, it looks pretty alright still, and yeah, it's getting 44 frames per second. It started to rain. I love it when it rains in Cyberpunk, my friends. Bob, goodbye! Also, the ghosting caused by FSR is so minor that I'm just not noticing it anymore. I haven't been noticing that for a really long time. It's there, you can see it a little bit if you look for it, but yeah, just disregard that. It's not an issue. at this point in time anymore, I believe. Let's try high settings with the 720p resolution. I'm gonna leave the motion blur enabled at this point, actually, guys. And just look at the graphics right now, guys. Look at the graphics on the ground as well, the reflections of the light on top of the car. I mean, doesn't it look beautiful? Even at 720p medium settings. It's insane. How are there some games that perform so much worse than this while looking 10 times worse at the same time? Now that we are above 30 FPS, I'm just going to disable motion blur. Here we have it. So high settings is still possible and achievable with GTX 1050 Ti, as you can see. If all you need is 30 frames per second, you're fine with the 720p resolution, of course. You need to be fine with a lot of compromise in terms of the visuals here. So on top of the low resolution, it's even upscaling from an even lower resolution. So yeah, it can look rough for a lot of people, but if you don't mind that, you can actually enjoy some high settings. All right, here's what I'm gonna do next, my friends. I'm gonna disable everything, okay? Disable these settings right here, set everything to the lowest settings possible, and try to aim for the smoothest experience that we can have here, okay? So this is at native 720p with the lowest settings. You can see a huge difference, especially on the road. Like, there are no reflections, basically, at the moment. It looked way better previously, and it will look way better on low settings preset. It's just that the very low settings, or the lowest settings, are very rough indeed in terms of visuals. But hey, it gets us 40-ish frames per second over here. So if you value the smoothness at native resolution, you can still only achieve 40-something FPS. Not that impressed, honestly, guys. But the good thing is Quality FSR is here, and that will put us closer to those sweet 60 frames per second. At this point, you probably already know that at 900p and 1080p with these settings, it would not reach 60 frames per second. And this is definitely not a good idea, because the visual downgrade coming from low preset is very real. But hey, it's smoother. But yeah, if you really want to play this game with 60 FPS, I say upgrade your GTX 1050 Ti. It's about time right now, okay? The GPU is getting pretty old, and it's aging kind of really terribly compared to something like an RX 570, for example, which was the same price when these GPUs were in the market brand new. So yeah, just gonna go back to 1080p, which is the most common resolution, using Quality FSR. Still just gonna resize this over here, and using these settings, it's good for like 30-ish FPS. So not a huge difference in terms of FPS, I guess. You get like 3-4 more FPS than with low settings preset. And the low settings preset looked way better, so I think that's definitely the way to go. So to finish it up, do not buy a GTX 1050 Ti if you want to play Cyberpunk 2077, unless you find it for like 20, 30, 40 bucks maybe, and you're fine with 30 frames per second experiences. And if you have this GPU and you really want to play Cyberpunk, well, now you know that you actually can. If you're fine with 30 FPS, you can actually have some pretty decent experiences here. So that's been it. Thank you very much for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next one very soon. As always, love you all. Bye-bye.